All right, so you've been doing a ton of research on weight loss and healthy living lately,
Yeah.
and you sent over some fascinating stuff,
Mm-hmm.
especially this article, Caloric Deficit Simplified,
Mm-hmm.
5 easy steps to lose weight efficiently.
Right.
I think today we can break down this whole concept
Yeah.
and see if we can uncover some actual insights for our
It
listener.
sounds good to me.
One of the things that really caught my eye in this article was this idea
Okay.
that there's a simple equation
Uh-huh.
that we can use to figure out how many calories our bodies burn
Okay.
just by existing.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
who knew that there was a formula for that?
Yeah.
It's like way more scientific than I expected.
It is. It's called the Mifflin-St. Jean equation,
Wow.
and it helps us calculate our basal metabolic rate,
Okay.
or BMR,
BMR.
which is basically the number of calories our body burns at rest
Oh,
just to keep all of our vital functions going.
so even when we're just like lounging on the couch watching TV,
Mhm.
our bodies are still burning calories.
Exactly.
Here.
It's like our internal engine is always running, even in idle mode.
I like that analogy.
And this equation takes into account things like our age, our gender, our weight, and our height
Yeah,
to give us a personalized estimate of our baseline calorie burn.
that makes sense. So once we know our BMR, then how do we factor in all the activities that we do throughout the day?
Right.
Like walking, working out, or even just fidgeting?
That's where the concept of total daily energy expenditure comes in, or TDE.
Okay.
To get our TDE, we multiply our BMR by an activity factor, which varies depending on how active we are.
So like someone who runs marathons every weekend would have a much higher activity factor than someone who like mostly enjoys leisurely walks.
Precisely. And then the article provides a handy chart with different activity factors based on various lifestyles.
Cool.
But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Once we know our TDEE,
Uh-huh.
we can start manipulating it to create a caloric deficit for weight loss.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork.
Yeah.
You know, we understand how many calories our bodies burn naturally
Mhm.
through activities.
Mhm.
But how much of a deficit do we actually need to create to start seeing results?
Well, the article emphasizes a more balanced and sustainable approach.
Okay.
It recommends aiming for a moderate deficit of 500 to 1,000 calories per day.
So no drastic crash diets or, starvation mode.
Exactly.
That's a relief.
The article cautions against those quick fix solutions because they're rarely sustainable in the long run.
Yeah.
A moderate deficit allows for gradual weight loss of about 1 to 2 pounds per week,
Okay.
which is a healthy and realistic pace.
Slow and steady wins the race,
Oh,
right?
exactly.
But let's say we've done all the calculations,
Yeah.
we've figured out, what our caloric deficit goal should be.
Mhm.
How do we actually put this into practice?
Right.
Is it just about eating less, or is there like a smarter approach?
There's definitely a strategy involved, and that brings us to step 3 from the article, the power of nutrient-dense foods.
Okay.
It's not just about eating less, it's about eating smarter.
So we're talking about those nutritional all-stars. Fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains.
Exactly.
The kinds of foods that make our bodies sing with joy.
The article encourages us to focus on foods that are packed with nutrients but relatively low in calories.
Okay.
These foods provide us with the vitamins, the minerals, and the fiber we need to thrive,
Yeah.
and they keep us feeling full and satisfied for longer, which can help curb cravings and prevent overeating.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's a win-win.
It is a win-win.
But let's be real for a second. Even with the best of intentions, trashing our food intake can feel a little tedious.
I hear you.
Is there a way to make this process less daunting?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure I want to spend my days glued to a calorie counting app.
And the article addresses that in step 4, tracking your journey to success.
Okay.
It's not about obsessing over every single calorie,
Mm-hmm.
but rather becoming more mindful of our choices and patterns.
So instead of viewing tracking as a chore, we can approach it as a tool for self-awareness and accountability.
Exactly. It's about becoming more attuned to our body's cues and understanding how different foods make us feel.
I like that perspective.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off and makes it more about learning and experimenting
Yeah.
rather than striving for perfection.
Right.
But what about those times when we feel like we're doing everything right, but we're not seeing the results that we're hoping for?
Yeah.
Those dreaded plateaus
Yeah.
that can really zap our motivation?
Plateaus are a normal part of the weight loss journey,
Okay.
and they can be frustrating.
Well-
But the article offers some reassuring advice for navigating these bumps in the road.
Okay.
It suggests that our bodies might simply be adjusting to our new routine
Okay.
and that we might need to tweak our approach a little bit.
So it's like our bodies are saying, hey, We've gotten used to this calorie deficit time for a new challenge.
That's a great way to put it.
All right.
The article suggests a few strategies for breaking through plateaus, such as slightly reducing our calorie intake, increasing our activity levels, or simply being patient in giving our bodies time to adjust.
So it's not about throwing in the towel, but rather making those subtle adjustments and trusting the process.
Exactly.
But I'm curious, what if we're not, you know, huge fans of hitting the gym or
Right.
following like a strict workout routine?
Mm-hmm.
Can we still create a caloric deficit and lose weight effectively?
Absolutely. And that brings us to the final step in the article, moving your body and staying hydrated.
Oh,
It's not about becoming a fitness fanatic overnight.
yeah.
It's about finding ways to incorporate more movement into our daily lives and prioritize hydration.
So ditching the elevator for the stairs, taking a brisk walk during our lunch break, or even just like dancing around the kitchen while we're cooking dinner, those little bursts of activity can add up.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of hydration.
Okay.
The article emphasizes the importance of drinking enough water throughout the day to support our overall health and help us feel full and satisfied.
Okay, so we've covered the 5 steps outlined in the article. Understanding our caloric needs, setting a realistic deficit, embracing nutrient-dense foods, tracking our progress, and incorporating movement and hydration.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a pretty holistic approach to weight loss.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about creating a sustainable lifestyle that nourishes our bodies and minds and allows us to thrive.
I love that it's not about deprivation or punishment. It's about making choices that support our overall well-being.
Exactly.
But before we move on to the next part of our deep dive, I'm curious, what are your initial thoughts on this concept of caloric deficits?
Well, what strikes me is that it's not just about the numbers on the scale.
Okay.
It's about understanding our body's unique needs and finding a balanced approach that works for us individually.
Yeah.
And I especially appreciate the emphasis on making gradual changes and focusing on long-term sustainability rather than quick fixes.
I completely agree. It's about creating a lifestyle that we can stick with,
Yeah.
not just a temporary diet that leaves us feeling deprived and miserable. I'm sensing that there's more to unpack here.
Oh, absolutely. We've only just scratched the surface.
Okay.
There's so much more to explore when it comes to the nuances of caloric deficits
Right.
and how they can help us achieve our weight loss and health goals.
I'm ready to dive deeper.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back to delve into some common questions and challenges that people often face when implementing a caloric deficit.
Sounds like a plan. We'll uncover some practical tips and strategies for navigating those tricky situations and staying on track with our goals.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with more insights on how to master the art of caloric deficits and achieve sustainable weight loss success.
Right. So welcome back to our deep dive into the world of caloric deficits.
You know, it's amazing how all those small changes we talked about can really add up over time.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like, what about those moments
Right.
when those healthy habits kind of fly out the window?
Yeah.
You know those times when we're faced with, like, irresistible cravings? Or we find ourselves in social situations that totally revolve around food.
Yeah.
Those can be real willpower challenges.
Absolutely. Those situations can definitely test our resolve.
Oh,
But
sure.
the good news is
Right.
the article we're exploring offers some helpful strategies
Good.
for navigating those tricky scenarios.
Okay, I'm all ears because,
Yeah.
let's be honest, who hasn't experienced that sudden overwhelming urge for chocolate
Yeah.
or a slice of pizza? Like, cravings can be so powerful.
They really can. And one of the most effective ways to combat those cravings, according to the article,
Yeah.
is to make sure we're eating regular, balanced meals throughout the day.
So it's about keeping our blood sugar levels stable
Exactly.
and preventing those drastic dips that can send our cravings into overdrive.
That's right. When we fuel our bodies with nutrient-rich foods at consistent intervals, we're less likely to experience those intense urges for sugary or processed snacks.
Okay.
It's like we're giving our bodies the steady energy they need to stay on track.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about those times when a craving hits us out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Are there any tricks for taming those sudden urges?
The article suggests a few clever strategies. One is to try distracting ourselves
Okay.
by engaging in an activity we enjoy, like going for a walk, listening to music, or calling a friend.
Okay.
Sometimes simply shifting our focus can help those cravings subside.
I like that it's like hitting the pause button
Yeah,
on those impulsive urges and giving ourselves a moment to kind of regroup.
exactly.
But what about those social situations?
Right.
That can feel like a minefield of temptations.
Yeah.
Birthday parties, holiday gatherings, happy hour with friends.
Mhm.
It can be tough to resist those tempting treats and stick to our calorie goals.
You're right, social gatherings can be challenging.
Yeah.
But the article offers some practical tips for navigating those situations without feeling deprived
Go.
or like we're missing out on the fun.
Okay, share the wisdom, because I'm always looking for ways to enjoy those events without feeling guilty or like I'm sacrificing my health goals.
One tip that resonated with me is to plan ahead.
Okay.
If you know you're going to a party or a restaurant where you'll be faced with lots of tempting options,
Yeah.
try having a lighter meal or a protein-rich snack beforehand.
So we're arriving at those events feeling satisfied
Exactly.
rather than famished,
Right.
which can help us make more mindful choices.
Yes. And another helpful strategy is to focus on socializing and connecting with the people we're with,
Okay.
rather than making food the center of attention.
That's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in the food frenzy at
Mhm.
those events, but shifting our focus to the company and conversation
Yeah.
can really help us stay on track.
And if you're feeling pressured to eat more than you'd like, don't be afraid to politely decline.
Okay.
You can simply say, I'm full, but thank you, or I'm saving room for dessert later.
Yeah.
It's about honoring our own needs and boundaries.
I love that it's a reminder that we have the right to make choices that align with our goals. Even in social settings now, speaking of goals, what about those times
Yeah.
when our weight loss just seems to hit a standstill?
Yeah.
You know, those dreaded plateaus that can make us feel like
Yeah.
we're doing everything right but seeing no results?
Plateaus are incredibly common,
Okay.
and they can be frustrating.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that weight loss is rarely a perfectly linear process.
Okay.
There will be times when progress slows down or even temporarily halts.
So it's not necessarily a sign that we're doing something wrong.
Right.
It's just part of the natural ebb and flow of the journey.
Exactly. The article suggests that our bodies might simply be adapting to our new routine,
Okay.
and that we might need to make some minor adjustments to continue seeing progress.
So it's like our bodies are saying, okay, we've gotten used to this calorie deficit time for a new challenge.
That's a great analogy.
Oh.
The article recommends a few strategies for breaking through plateaus,
Okay.
such as slightly reducing our calorie intake, increasing our activity levels,
Yeah.
or incorporating strength training to build muscle mass. Okay.
Which can boost our metabolism.
So it's not about throwing in the towel.
Right.
It's about tweaking our approach and trusting the process.
Exactly. And sometimes it's simply about being patient and giving our bodies time to catch up.
Yeah,
Remember, weight loss is a marathon, not a sprint.
that's a great reminder. And speaking of marathons,
Yeah.
what about exercise?
Mm-hmm.
Does the type of exercise we do matter when it comes to creating a caloric deficit?
The article doesn't dive too deeply into specific workout routines, but it does emphasize the importance of finding activities we enjoy
Okay.
and can stick with consistently.
So it's less about forcing ourselves to do something we hate
Right.
and more about finding ways to make movement a fun and enjoyable part of our lives.
Exactly. Whether it's dancing, swimming, hiking, biking, or simply taking brisk walks, finding activities that bring us joy can make all the difference in our long-term success.
I love that perspective. It's about making movement a celebration of our bodies
Yeah.
rather than a punishment.
And now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive,
I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What's resonating with you the most from our exploration of caloric deficit so far?
you know what's really striking me is the emphasis on the psychological aspects of weight loss.
Yeah,
It's not just about the numbers on the scale.
right.
It's about cultivating a healthy mindset,
Mm,
embracing self-compassion,
Yeah.
and building a positive relationship with our bodies.
and I couldn't agree more. It's about shifting our focus from deprivation and punishment to nourishment and celebration.
I like that.
It's about honoring our body's unique needs and embracing the journey rather than striving for perfection.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
I think we've uncovered some truly valuable insights in this deep dive so far,
Yeah.
but there's still so much more to explore.
Absolutely. In the final part of our exploration, we'll delve into some of the potential benefits of creating a caloric deficit that extend beyond just weight loss.
Okay.
And we'll uncover some additional tips for making this approach a sustainable part of our lives.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with more empowering insight to help you master the art of caloric deficits and achieve your weight loss and health goals.
Right?
So welcome back to the final part of our deep dive on caloric deficits. We've covered so much ground already,
Yeah, we have.
but I feel like there are always A few lingering questions
Hmm.
that come up even after, having such an in-depth discussion.
Right.
Like, for example, do all calories count the same?
That's a great question.
I mean, 100 calories of broccoli just seems so different
Yeah.
than 100 calories of like a donut.
Right. That's a question that often sparks debate.
Yeah,
Technically, a calorie is a unit of energy.
right.
So in that sense, yes, they're equal.
Okay.
But the article highlights a crucial distinction. How those calories affect our bodies and our hunger cues can be very different.
So that's where the idea of nutrient density comes in again.
Exactly.
We're not just aiming for fewer calories, but better calories.
Exactly. Foods rich in nutrients tend to be more filling and satisfying, helping us feel fuller on fewer calories. Plus, they provide the vitamins and minerals our bodies need to thrive.
So even though, 100 calories of a donut and 100 calories of broccoli might technically be the same,
Right.
energy-wise, the broccoli is just like a much better choice
Exactly.
for our overall health and satiety.
And let's not forget the impact on our blood sugar levels.
Right.
Those processed sugary foods can lead to those energy spikes and crashes, making it harder to manage our weight and our cravings.
Okay, that makes total sense. Another question that comes up a lot
Yeah.
is about cheat meals
Yeah.
or cheat days.
Right.
Is there any room for indulgence when we're trying to, maintain a caloric deficit?
It's a tricky one
Yeah.
because it really depends on the individual and their goals.
Okay.
The article doesn't explicitly endorse or condemn cheat meals, but it emphasizes moderation and a balanced approach.
So if we view healthy eating as a lifestyle
Right.
rather than a strict diet, there might be room for occasional treats without throwing everything off track.
That's the idea. If a planned cheat meal helps you stay consistent the rest of the week, it might be a useful strategy,
Okay.
but it's crucial to approach it mindfully.
So instead of an all-out feast, you might just savor a small portion
Right.
of a favorite treat
Exactly.
and really enjoy it.
It's about finding that balance, and it's important to ensure those indulgences don't become the rule.
Okay.
If you're relying on cheat meals to stay motivated,
Mm-hmm.
it might be a sign that your overall plan needs tweaking.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot where we can enjoy our favorite foods in moderation while still making progress towards our goals. That's the key.
Absolutely. It's about sustainable lifestyle changes, not quick fixes.
Right.
Let's shift gears for a moment.
Okay.
We talked a lot about the practicalities of a caloric deficit, but what about the mental and emotional aspects?
Yeah.
Weight loss can be challenging on so many levels.
It really can. We often put so much pressure on ourselves to see results quickly, and when things get tough, it's easy to get discouraged.
That's where self-compassion comes in.
Yeah.
It's crucial to treat ourselves with kindness, especially when we face setbacks. The article emphasizes the importance of celebrating our wins, no matter how small.
It's about focusing on progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
We're all human. We all have those days when motivation wanes.
Yeah,
But it's about getting back on track and remembering our why.
exactly. And that why goes beyond just the number on the scale.
Okay.
The article highlights some amazing benefits of a caloric deficit
Yeah.
that extend beyond weight loss. Things like improved insulin sensitivity,
Okay.
lower blood pressure,
Wow.
and even better sleep.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So we're not just improving our physical health,
Right.
but potentially our mental and emotional well-being as well.
Precisely. It's a reminder that healthy habits have ripple effects throughout our lives.
Imagine if you could get rid of stubborn fat
Yeah.
and support weight loss in a simple and healthy way while you are at home.
You can find out by visiting https://m.lysolutionalweightloss or by clicking on the link in the description of this podcast.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listener will remember?
For me, it's the power of a personalized approach. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to weight loss. It's
Yeah.
about finding what works best for our individual bodies and lifestyles.
I wholeheartedly agree. And it's about recognizing that weight loss is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
There will be bumps along the way,
Yeah.
but with patience, self-compassion, and a bit of know-how, we can achieve our goals
Exactly.
and create a healthier, happier life.
Well said.
This deep dive has been truly insightful.
Yes.
I feel like we've really demystified the concept of caloric deficits and given our listener the tools they need to embark on their own weight loss journey with confidence.
I hope so. Remember, it's not about deprivation or punishment.
Right.
It's about making gradual, sustainable changes that nourish your body and mind.
Well said. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There's so many resources available to support you along the way.
Absolutely. So keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep celebrating your progress. You've got this.
That concludes our deep dive into the world of caloric deficits. We hope you found this episode informative and empowering. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.
And remember, we're here to support you every step of the way.